Okay, so greetings everybody. My name is Jay Lawrence. I'm the General Manager of Technology Enablement here at Supermicro. Joining me today, I have Jerry Dien, the Director of our System Solutions, and Chuck Henderson, our Senior Solutions Architect. We're going to be talking today about our solutions for the enhanced and new 5G micro data centers. To start, one of the things we'd like to do here is try to encapsulate message within application, and 5G, as Supermicro sees it, certainly presents a world of change in the telecom industry. We look at some of the key tenets of what 5G means to the consumer and the user experience. Key items like latency, where latency has been driven down to a millisecond from tens or hundreds of milliseconds in prior generations. Payloads going up by a factor of 10 or 100x, and availability increasing to the theoretical 5 nines, which is a very difficult measure to achieve. And we're presently involved in a number of very interesting 5G and 5G-esque applications. We're involved in health networks to help in the current pandemic that are leveraging Supermicro's compute, networking, and storage capabilities, both for telepresence, medicine, and first responder activities that are very unique and require some of the new technologies and products that we have brought to market and are continuing to bring to market to satisfy the 5G requirement. Further, one of the key pieces of our DNA as a company, as a very sophisticated hardware company, has been a focus on energy efficiency and resource reuse. And we're going to talk a bit about that as we move through today's presentation. So as we look at what 5G means, one of the best ways to articulate it is, what does it mean to the user? And also, what sorts of new businesses and business models will 5G enable? If you just look back in a short period of time, I would say, who at Blockbuster thought that a 4G telecommunications technology would permit Netflix to proliferate the industry and YouTube to grow to its current size and strength, and ostensibly put them on the bookshelf? We know 5G is going to bring up things with the artificial intelligence and virtual and augmented reality domains, but there will be new things. And I mentioned medical telepresence, not having to go to your doctor, doing it through a tablet with low latency and high capacity and great video capabilities. So there are a number of things you can look at, and even specifically the very top line of this chart, the old multiple hours to download a movie coming down to minutes is an impressive feat, but it's going to take an awful lot in the network architecture, and Supermicro is very focused on this network architecture. If you look at where we're coming from in 4G, as it was in 3 and 2Gs before that, the structure was very centric to the central office and large data centers with large racks of servers and centralized data. This creates problems for availability. It creates problems for latency because the data that's needed at the user experience side is too far away, and the computing capability is just too far away. New wireless technologies to power the access network, or the RAM, the radio access network, are evolving from old microwave technologies into new millimeter wave technologies and leveraging all sorts of new antenna capabilities. That said, Supermicro was at the forefront of 4G. And as we see where we're going in 5G, we believe that we have brought to market over the period of the past few quarters a battery of products, and those products being most meaningful for the new data center application, which we're going to have Jerry talk to us about here in a little bit, and also some edge computing products, which we view as one of the most profound tenets to achieve the requirements of the 5G experience. And we're going to have Chuck talk to us about some of those capabilities at the end. But when you look at the overlay in what the 5G network looks like, and then look at the Supermicro product portfolio that has gone through both the durability, the standards, the fit and form factor, the move to DC power, we believe that we have just begun and will continue to develop products that are going to be most suited towards improving both our partners' capability to roll this technology out, and further to create great user experiences, because Supermicro products are placed and developed strategically for form, fit, and function from the central office to the new data centers and to the edge. So I'm going to invite Chuck and Jerry to jump in here with me. This is just a cross-section of our product portfolio that we believe is a good fit and has been well used in the 5G and the general telecommunications environment, in particular over the last several quarters, as I mentioned. You have to note, though, that one of the things about Supermicro is we have such a broad range of SKUs, well over 1,000 active, that we can solve for many of our customers what feels like a custom project by using commercial off-the-shelf Supermicro components and be very creative in doing so. So, Jerry, why don't I start with you, and perhaps if you can give us a little context about some of the products that are here, maybe focus more towards the cloud and the ultras, and then we'll have Chuck come in and talk a bit more about the edge products after that. Jerry?
Great, thanks, Jay. So just to reiterate, one key message that Jay was talking about is that Supermicro, we really have the product breadth and the depth when it comes to servers, storage type of platforms. What you do see here on the screen is going to be a wide variety of rack mount solutions, namely the Ultras and the 1U, 2U form factors that can accommodate many different type of configurations with the latest CPU, memory, storage, expansion slots, and so forth. Our latest platform in the Ultra family is going to be the short depth, which we'll talk about in the upcoming slides. If you're looking for node density, the Big Twin and Blade are going to be great rack mount solutions, will allow you to accommodate a combination of compute, storage, and node density within these particular enclosures. And last but not least, GPU. If you're looking for platforms that can accommodate, either 2, 4, up to 8 or even more dual width GPUs, we happen to have those particular products in a 1, 2, and 4U and even larger enclosures. So compute, storage, different type of form factors, pretty much we have some solutions.
Great. So Chuck, why don't you just give us a quick intro on some of our edge computing capabilities and talk about some of the features at a high level, and then we'll break into some of the products specifically.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jay. Welcome, everyone. I'll be kind of talking about the left-hand side of this slide. Down on the lower left-hand corner, we have two models that I'll be talking about for edge compute. One is the 1019D. That is our 1U ultra short depth server, and it's in the compact server line. And the next is the E403 server, which is a wall mount server. And then lastly, on the upper left-hand side is our outdoor edge product, and I will get a little bit into that as we move further in the presentation.
So great. So let's do that now. And again, just to summarize here, this is a distribution of products that are fit for the telecom environment. Important that everybody remember our very rich DNA and depth, as Jerry mentioned, in product options. Jerry, why don't you, if you would, you mentioned the short depth product, if you would take us through this and give us some details.
Great. Yeah, I'm really proud to introduce our latest 2U Ultra. The Ultra is built on a modular architecture, which really allows us to quickly adapt a wide variety of configurations and reduce the overall time to market. This is our new short depth design, which reduces the length to only 22.6 inches, which is essential for a lot of the micro data centers out there. With the open platform design, you can support the latest 205-watt CPUs and up to 24 DIMMs, which will basically give you up to 6 terabytes of memory. And for those of you guys who are looking for DCMM support, which is the data center persistent memory modules, we can support up to 12 of those particular modules, which will thus increase your overall memory pool to up to 9 terabytes. We also have flexible networking as well as expansion slots. So if you want to incorporate GPUs, we can support up to 2 dual width or up to 4 single width GPUs in this 2U design. Keep in mind, all those particular GPUs will be running at the full by 16s. As for serviceability, it's been greatly enhanced with the 6 heavy-duty hot swappable front-loading fans. So all this is powered through our AC or DC power supply options. With all these great features you get with the Ultra, you now get it in a short depth chassis. So if you'd like to learn more about this, guys, you can always go to our Supermicro website and check out the 2029U-MTNRV platform.
Fantastic, Jerry. Good looking stuff here. So, Chuck, let's flip over to you for a moment and talk about some of the edge devices that you've been working on.
Sounds good. Okay, well, first we're going to start with our 1019D. And this server is a one-use server designed for edge compute with a number of key applications that you can see on the lower left-hand side, things like CPE, CRAN, multi-access edge computing, and vehicle-to-everything type of compute. One nice thing about this server is a very short depth, only 15.7 inches, so it's very nice and compact. Thus is why we call it one of our compact server line models. It can support one Intel Skylake D processor up to 105 watts. Has 4 slots for memory, maximum 512 gigs. And then we also have 4 2.5-inch SATA drives as well for internal storage. We do have a little bit of flexibility in networking with 1G and 10G options, and then standard 2 PCIe 3.0 by 16, or you can mix and match with 1 PCIe 3.0 by 16 and 2 by 8 cards. We also have 3 fans, and then we have 2 types of power, all power being redundant. We have a redundant 600 watt DC and redundant 800 watt power supplies as well. So that's a little bit about the 1019.
Great. So let's switch on to the E403.
Okay, sounds good. The E403 is part of our compact wall mount server line, and the first thing you'll notice is it's much larger in that it's 3 units high instead of 1 like the 1019. There are a few reasons for this, but we'll get to those in a second. Again, some of the same types of applications that you saw on the previous server. However, as I mentioned, this is a deeper or height-wise 3 units rack mount server. Like the previous server, supports 1 Intel Skylake D up to 105 watt, 4 DIMMs up to 512 gigs of memory, 4 2.5-inch SATA drives, 1 or 10G networking, and then what we have added in this is actually a 3 IO system, so that you can get a little bit more expandability. In fact, if you wanted to use GPUs, you could put 3 Tesla T4 GPU cards within this server. Same 3 fan as the previous servers, and again, redundant power with both 600 DC or 800 AC power supplies. And the reason we have the extra I/O and DC power for this particular server will be a little bit clearer on the next slide. If we could move forward, please. This is our outdoor edge cabinet system. And what we've done with this system is we've taken the ability to take a cabinet and actually put it on a pole and put it out outside for additional connectivity. The outdoor edge cabinet actually houses an E403 server that we just reviewed, so the system specs will all be the same, but what we do is we package it as an entire complete system, and then you can put it outside of campus, or really sky's the limit where it could be used. Being that it's an outside cabinet, we needed to go through strenuous tests to make sure that it could handle harsh conditions. And as you can see, it will work just fine in negative 40 degrees Celsius up to 40 degrees Celsius. And if you prefer Fahrenheit, that equates to negative 40 Fahrenheit and 114.8 degrees Fahrenheit. I should mention that the outdoor edge system is being covered in a different training module during today's sessions, so make sure you head on over to view that. If you have any additional interests, they will go in a much deeper dive. But with that, that's the end of my segment.
Great, great. So getting GPUs at the edge is certainly a very powerful message for edge computing capabilities, to say the least. Um, Early in the discussion, we mentioned the investment that Supermicro has made with many of these standard products and continues to make to bring them through the NABs compliance. NABs being a very important quality check, a good housekeeping seal of approval, if you will, for the major telecom players. And ostensibly, the benefits of going through this is it demonstrates that we have created a product that can both be a good neighbor and citizen in a data center or a central office, and two, can survive and perform in very harsh environments. I'm not going to read the list off here, but hostile events like earthquakes or even fire, are applied, and those circumstances are applied during the testing to demonstrate that what we have done in our designs and our product enhancements helps to support the telecom customer for their concerns and their needs to have this capability. We've already taken, as I mentioned, a few products through. We presently have a couple of products that are in the lab and about to come out, and a few about to go in. So I'm going to turn back to Jerry and Chuck again here, just after a quick call out to the GPU server that is located. It's the SYS1029GQ. This is a very powerful device for edge computing with 4 NVIDIA V100s in it, and we expect to have that through the NABs test shortly. And then Jerry, why don't we start with you and just talk about some of the items you're working on here, and I'm going to pull up our roadmap as well to let you talk against that as you're walking us through your pieces.
Sure, thank you. So as we take a look at this, NABs is actually very important to us. And what we've done with the Ultra rack mount solutions is that we enabled the full NABs Level 3 certification onto our 1U 12-bay Ultra. This is going to be a 1U rack mount that will support up to 12 NVMe full hybrid drive bays. So if you're looking for SAS, SATA, or NVMe support, this particular platform will be able to support that in a redundant AC or DC variant. On top of that, we're also going to basically have plans to certify our 2U Ultra short depth server that we just talked about, and those will also have the AC/DC variant.
Great. Chuck, you want to add just a quick comment or two on your edge devices?
Oh, yeah, sure. I would like to just mention that, Supermicro takes the time to listen to our customers, and we're doing everything we can to meet not only their needs, but their demands. And as such, we've come a long way with our NABs certification in the last year, and that will continue to grow over the next year or two. We will be adding more additional servers, and we will strive to make sure that all our servers are built with the highest level of quality that we can make them, and look for more great things on the NABs side down the road from Supermicro.
Great, Chuck, thanks. So to kind of tie everything together here, as we started off looking at some of the tenant requirements for 5G and both availability and latency and more bandwidth and energy savings, we've tried to give you a good cross-section of products, and this product portfolio is evolving and developing quickly. As Chuck mentioned, we certainly love to get our customers and partners to come talk to us about new challenges that they have, but the fact that we have such a large capability in development and such a large range of SKUs that give us width and depth to solve many problems in the telecom space, we certainly encourage those conversations and welcome folks to come and talk to us. And I can't underscore the fact that we will continue to be completely focused on making sure that the products both inform workload, function, storage, power configuration, also have the certifications. And this is an area where we have already invested and will continue to invest considerably. And again, if you'd like to learn more about any of these products, please feel free to visit us at www.supermicro.com to learn more. And we're going to have a brief pause here while we go to live questions and answers. So we look forward to hearing from you and answering any questions that you might have about products now or future, or any clarifications or other that you might want from us. Thank you all for listening.
Well, greetings, everybody. My name is Jay. We got Chuck and Jerry here as well. Chuck, handful of questions. Yeah, thanks for waving. So, hey, Chuck, I'm going to go to you first. We got a bunch of questions for the three of us, but question one, you mentioned the capacity on the wall mount, the E403. Question is, what other devices beyond the Teslas, the 3x Tesla GPUs, could you conceivably fit in there?
All right, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. Well, first of all, yes, we do have, as I mentioned, the Tesla cards. However, we do have an FPGA from Intel, the N3000 that is also fully certified on the E403 server. The nice thing about the N3000 FPGA is that it's fully programmable. It's also designed for network functions and functionality. Enables very high throughput, low latency, and low power per bit for customized network pipelines. So we're very proud to have the N3000 FPGA card from Intel as a part of this solution, and we feel it adds to the overall quality of the solution itself.
Great. All right, Jerry, I'm going to shift over to you. On the short depth ultra, the networking options, the question is, what is the capacity of each form, 1, 10, 25G? Could you elaborate a little bit for that question here?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So to elaborate a little bit more on the networking itself, our Ultra platforms are built on a modular design. And with this modular design, if you want the onboard networking, it's actually coming from a riser. Those particular risers that you have access to will pretty much be a dual 25G. It'll also basically allow you to incorporate a wide variety. So not only do you get the dual 25G, you also got the quad 10G, dual 10G, plus SFP plus, as well as the quad 1 gig. So you do have to have a wide variety of ultra risers that you can pretty much slot into this particular platform.
Okay, great. So we got a couple of questions on NABs. I'm just going to grab the one here to start, time permitted. But on NABs, the question is, what kinds of modifications have typically been required to get the Supermicro products successfully through the third-party labs? I'll start, and if either of you guys want to jump in with any other thoughts. But in general, I think one of the key points here in terms of us being able to leverage our off-the-shelf SKUs to put together standard products that look in some ways custom is both meaningful from a flexibility standpoint, but because all those products are already hardened, it really puts us in a pretty nice position as we're going through the testing labs. Now, NABs is a very difficult standard by which to achieve. The labs are pretty brutal for the equipment, so there's always some amount of hardening or little bits of tweaks here and there, and I think Chuck is kind of chuckling because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But as a practical matter, because we have this rich hardware DNA and we've survived without pre-NABs in some very unpleasant and uncomfortable environments, we've generally found to this point that we've had good success in the labs, albeit you always get a bit of a stuck on your knee here or there, but we've been able to overcome it through more what I call minor modifications. Closing thought too is we tend to pre-test. We've got a great lab capability. In addition to the deep products, those deep products come from having a deep and very well entrenched and knowledgeable engineering community, which can do a lot of pre-work. So we can thermally shock and test and a great number of other things that are all pertinent to getting through NABs. Chuck, I'm going to shift back to you. It's kind of related on the hardening side. I got a question about, could you elaborate on IP65? Most specifically, the 6 and the 5 have meaning, but can you talk to us about what that means in terms of particle and moisture resiliency or anything else that's relevant?
Okay, yeah, sure. The IP65 rating that we have on the outdoor edge cabinet actually refers to a fairly well-known scale for contaminants. It's called the Ingress Protection Rating Scale. the first digit in this case stands for solids, and the second digit stands for liquids. So in this case, the outdoor edge cabinet has an IP rating of 65. What that means is for solids with a rating of 6, no dust or no ingress of dust can get into the cabinet. 6 is actually the highest level you can achieve for the solid scale with the ingress protection rating. So we're very proud of that. And then on the second digit is a 5. And what the 5 does is protect against water jets, powerful water jets at any angle. From getting into the cabinet. Also, that rating is near the top. The only ratings higher would be either like splashed with a wave, submersion for 30 minutes, or total submersion, which in this case is not going to work for what we're trying to achieve here with the outdoor edge cabinet. But we are very proud of the quality that's gone into the box. We're very proud of the IP65 rating, and rest assured it can survive in very harsh environments.
Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, I mean, we've got a number of just really unique projects, that leverage that product, because not just the radio access network needs that edge computing, and of course the scale that you referenced on the first question is pretty compelling for putting that kind of power at the edge. Jerry, got one back for you. It says here, you mentioned the PSUs are redundant. Does that mean one PSU power supply unit, AC or DC, can power the entire system? And what is the fully burdened power requirement of the short depth products?
Yeah, so basically, that's actually a really good question. If we take a look at the overall architecture for the Ultras, all the Ultra platforms are basically redundant power supplies. So if you want to utilize one power supply, it is possible. You just need to take a look at your overall system requirements. Let's just give you an example. If you fully loaded with 205 watt processors and you had like maybe 300 watt GPUs, and you populated, all the drive bays, fans at full 100%, the DIMMs at all 24, pretty much you're going to be consuming a lot of power. So in this particular case, if you happen to have like a redundant power supplies, you may lose the redundancy, but you would have system be able to turn off. And for the question that Jay was presenting was that, let's say your system requirements weren't as much. Well, basically, if they weren't as much and you're within the guideline of that single power supply, you would be able to turn on the system with just that one power supply.
All right, great. So I think we got time for one more, which is as follows. In the 5G applications mentioned, what is key in your view about Supermicro's product in supporting an application such as telemedicine? Great question. The short version is that 5G, as I mentioned in the early part of our discussion, is really a transformational ideology, if you will, for telecommunication. It is not the same linear growth, throw some more fiber down, leverage a central office. It is the promotion of edge computing that is such a substantive change in architecture, whether it's the new data centers where something like the short depth products is going to play an important role, or right at the edge. You can imagine being in a testing location or in an emergency room, or at some point even remote in an ambulance, where now having the presence and the availability of edge computing will absolutely give the user experience. And in this case, it's a patient. So it's getting that capability where that capability is needed. That is just the most central piece that we see as part of the entire 5G architecture. And certainly I think that we've got the start of, as we continue to grow our line, solutions to remedy it. We're going to button the session up here now. I just want to mention before we say goodbye and thank you for sitting in, is to mention that there are breakout sessions available. That was my alarm going off, so I don't go over it, which I did. But there's an attachments tab. You can hit that and check out what breakout sessions you might want to see. Hope to see you guys there. And again, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today. Chuck,
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.